Welcome back, everybody, to In the Loop. What is up, everybody? My name is Michael Burpo, and today we're going to be deciding, does it work? We're going to be talking about digital marketing. So I sit down with my good friend, Katie Kinlaw, to decide every tactic that she employs and does it actually work? Plot twist, it does end up usually working, but how do they come together? Which one should you be focusing on? What are the easiest ones to look at? What do they actually mean? This is kind of your surface level index of every digital marketing tactic. It's a lot of fun. Just me and Katie talking for this one. The members of the Symphony group will be on later on, but it's a lot of fun, and I think we really touch on pretty much everything that you can. And this week's episode is brought to you by Punchmark, the jewelry industry's leading website provider. Join the community of nearly 500 other jewelry stores in choosing Punchmark's easy-to-run and e-commerce enabled website platform by visiting punchmark.com for your free trial demo. And this episode is brought to you by the Symphony Group, a digital growth agency that helps leaders and businesses dream bigger and achieve multi-generational integrity. Through insights and intelligence, digital marketing, and advertising solutions, they help businesses expand their business and grow their revenue. The Symphony Group has helped hundreds of businesses surpass their goals and believe that whatever your business, whatever your story, they will make it matter to your audience. Special thank you to The Edge point of sale system for sponsoring this week's episode and letting us do what we love to do. Thanks and enjoy the show. Okay, and we're back. So I'm joined by Katie Kinlaw, and we're actually doing just a two-person pod. I don't think we've ever had just a two-person pod, me and you.
I don't think so.
Excited?
Yeah, man.
This will be great. So we're going to be talking, I'm sure I talked about this in the intro, but all about does it work? And I feel like digital marketing, again, is one of those things that in the past has been kind of mentioned along the lines of snake oil, like SEO. You can't really see what it is that is happening a lot of the time. So people sometimes wonder, is it actually working? And I kind of want to get to the bottom of that and at least talk about how can you see if this is working and the kind of symphony of digital marketing tactics that go into promoting a website, driving traffic, and ultimately getting a return through checkouts. So without further ado, let's talk about the ways that you can drive traffic to your website. When I say that term, driving traffic, what is the first thing that pops in your mind, Katie?
Right. I'm still hung up on the symphony of digital marketing.
That's a good term.
Does that mean I need to be like a major conductor? What am I like?
Yes, you need a wand.
I need a wand, right? You know what? Sometimes I wish I had a magical wand when it came to digital marketing, but there's definitely some proven tactics that we can follow that will, push the needle and drive performance for our clients. So when we're talking about digital marketing, we're talking about driving traffic, there are kind of some key components of different avenues and channels that you can focus on, right? So there's the standard search engine optimization. That's going to be something, it's almost like a snowball effect. It's something that takes time in terms of building equity into your site, building content, making sure the technical components of your site are where they need to be, right? So really making sure that your home base is, more tailored to search engines specifically to make it more favorable as well, right? So that's more of a long-term play and is, kind of takes consistent effort. Whereas when we talk about other channels, like different paid components, right? So you have like Google AdWords, so you can bid on keywords directly within like Google, or there's even different paid ads through like smaller search engines like Bing and Yahoo. Those aren't as prevalent, but yeah. You're right. But still, I've run Bing campaigns before. I've run Yahoo campaigns before. It's relatively similar, right? So it's all about bidding on keywords so that your ad shows up at the top of the search results when someone is searching keyword or related keyword to the ones that you're targeting, right? So that's going to be a cost per click or a CPC. So you do have to pay when someone clicks on your ad.
Before we move out of it, I want to ask this at the end of every tactic that you drop out. So search engine optimization, SEO, does it work?
Yes.
I was going to say, one thing that you've impressed upon me is that search engine optimization or SEO is kind of like, like vegetables. It's like short, not immediate effect, but long-term shelf life energy. And SEM, or like a CPC tactic, like what you just mentioned, is more along the lines of like a sugar rush, where it's immediate effect, but shorter shelf life. They're both kind of going to be doing the same thing, which is driving traffic to your website. But one is immediate, but as soon as you shut the money off, it stops working. And the other one is not immediate, but it will also have a long-term effect. And after you stop doing it, it'll continue to drive a lot of traffic to your website. Am I kind of in the right realm on that?
Yeah, exactly. So when we're talking about the difference between, paid and, like organic efforts, right? And then with paid, we just talked about paid ads on Google and other search engines, but there's also paid advertising through social, Facebook and Instagram. We've covered those more in depth in other episodes. But specifically when we're talking about search engine optimization, one of the things that gives me the most satisfaction in my job, and I'm going to completely geek out here for a minute, but it's completely true, is when I build landing pages for clients and I build content that has those specific keywords that you want that page and that website to rank for, we have actual tools that we can utilize to see which keywords are ranking for that page. And over time, you can actually see the growth in impressions, which is how many times your website was generated for that keyword. And you can also see the growth and change in positioning. So literally by implementing a piece of content, I can then watch that page grow directly within the platform. So I get a little bit of a digital marketing high when I do a really great landing page, and then I can actually see that growth, and then I'll screenshot that graph and send it to a client and we do a little happy dance together, So yes, it does work. But again, you're right, is that it's kind of like eating vegetables, right? So you're not going to really enjoy it. Maybe, I don't know, I like vegetables, but you're not going to love it, right out of the gate. But over time, you're going to see those results.
Having a healthy website, those landing pages really do drive a lot of traffic. I remember back in season 1 of In the Loupe, I think that we had Blake from the Symphony group on. Do you remember that story, how he worked for like a chemicals company and they wanted to rank like one link in the top 3 and they were currently at like 27th. And after like an entire year, 11 months or something like that, they finally got to rank 1. And then he went back while we were on the podcast and he looked to see where that page was ranking after like 4 years or 5 years of working on it. And it was still like 3rd or something like that. And that just goes to show like those efforts, it might be tough to shell out the money to have those generated or spend the time doing it yourself, but they really do have a long-term effect on your website and kind of plant the flag for your company, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely, how you're not supposed to have favorite tactics for, digital marketing. SEO is just something that takes so much time and effort in terms of research and building content, but you do get that high after seeing that performance over time. And then when you have different paid efforts, like we mentioned, Google ads and then, social ads, that's to be honest, that's probably my favorite part of digital marketing because you can actively see how a set budget directly correlates into traffic to the site through those different kind of paid efforts. So I think, if you're focusing on long-term sustainability, really search engine optimization is where you need to be focusing. And then if you need kind of like an injection of traffic, paid efforts are really, really supportive and great for that because you can target specific demographics, right? Like location, age, household income, all of those components. So, they're good separately, but together really is the most successful strategy that you can use because they do support each other in tons of different ways.
Exactly. Go together so well. They're pretty good on their own, but they go even better together. And I guess there you go. So CPC or SEM, which is search engine marketing, does it work?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
And so just let's pull back the veil really quickly. And I like being brutally honest about ourselves. We are currently running all of these tactics in the Loupe. And so for the people that are listening, maybe this is your first episode or maybe not. In the Loupe is co-made by Punchmark and the Symphony group. Right now, the Symphony group isn't on with us right now. It's just me and Katie. We're both Punchmark, but we are co-working on this together. And we employ pretty much all the same tactics that we've been outlining and we're going to continue to outline. I think we have as far as SEO, I have a page on punchmark.com that's called punchmark.com/Loupe. And that page has every keyword that you could ever possibly want related to podcasts, jewelry podcasts, e-commerce podcasts. We say it a million times. It's okay looking. It's just a long page, probably longer than it needs to be, but it hits all those buzzwords and we use it as the point of contact for everything to do with that podcast. You can listen to our podcast on whatever you're listening to right now, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the other places. But that place in particular is the nexus or like the actual point that we try to drive people to when we run things like SEM. What SEM techniques are we using right now, Katie, for In the Loupe right now? We got a bunch.
Yeah, so there's actually different types of campaigns that you can run within pay-per-click or Google AdWords. So we're doing standard text ads, which means that we are targeting specific keywords related to the jewelry podcast space that we're in, right? So we have specific ads that will show and are generated when someone searches something in relation to like jewelry education, jewelry podcasts, e-commerce best practices for jewelers, right? Like different components like that. We're also running display and retargeting campaigns, which means that if someone lands on our website, we basically cookie their browser. And then if they go to another website, whether it's a news website or, they're looking at the weather, whatever the case is, any website that has opted into the display network, we have the ability to show display ads and retarget to them some information based off of In the Loupe as well. So utilizing both of those components from a Google AdWords perspective, and we're also doing paid social as well.
So that ties in really nicely with what my next topic was going to be is paid social or social marketing, or however you want to discuss it. And we actually have an episode. I think it's actually going to be ahead of this one. It's going to be hosted by the Symphony group. So you've probably already listened to that. If not, go back. And it feels a little bit weird talking about what it is that we use, the techniques that we use, because when we say, oh, we cookie their browsers, my first instinct is like, ugh, that's so like intrusive, but it's not. I think that that's what makes the online experience so effective and great to use is that the stuff that is, have you ever watched a cable news network? I watch it whenever I go home. I watch it with my mom and dad, and I cannot believe how trash the advertising is on that. Like just, oh, do you have osteoporosis? It's like this isn't tailored to me at all. However, when you go online, the only things that you're getting advertised, yes, they are looking for your dollars,
right,
but they're things that they have decided you legitimately would want. And the only people that are going to see our advertisements for In the Loupe are people who we deem probably want to find jewelry education. And that's kind of, at least that's how I rationalize in my head. How about you?
Yeah, so we're actually in kind of an interesting position in the digital marketing landscape right now because there are lots of different updates that are coming across, like specifically for Apple and iOS, that is actually getting away from cookies. So digital marketing is actually in a transitional period and trying to figure out how we can continue to serve ads and go after a very specific demographic without utilizing cookies as much. So Google Analytics actually is rolling out a new software update that actually doesn't focus on cookies. It focuses on more specifically like IP addresses. So we can actually track users cross-channel now. So if they look at something on their mobile and they go to the desktop, we can actually track that specific behavior journey. But I'm going on a little bit of a ramble there. But all of that to say, from utilizing cookies, it's great because you have the ability to get targeted specific content that makes sense to you, right? I can't tell you how many times I'll be scrolling on social and then I'll see an ad that I'll engage with. I engage with it because I'm the set demographic based on my interests, based off of my behaviors. I would rather have a tailored experience to, I don't know about you, but even when I'm on like YouTube or looking at a video and then that pop-up comes up and it's like, choose your advertising, whatever we're going to show to you, right? And it's like a survey and you have to pick. And I'm like, I don't want to engage with any of these. I would rather have something that's like specific to me, like skip. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like intrusive, obtrusive. Is it gross that these tactics actually exist? Well, take that up with Google and Facebook. I mean, that's where 90% of marketing goes through. And it's like these techniques, we didn't get them. But in the end, this is how digital marketing and online marketing works. You can stand on your high horse all you want and not use these techniques, but everybody else is going to be using them. They've been accepted. This is part of the online experience, and this is part of the digital marketing kind of playbook. And whether or not you take advantage of them is not going to make them go away. I think making sure that your offerings is as quality as possible is your kind of way to, at least stick it to the man, or at least reconcile with yourself, is that making sure that the people who do actually click through that ad onto your products are served with actual quality goods. That's kind of the way to reconcile it with yourself, I think. But in the meantime, we'll be back in just 1 minute for words from our sponsor. Thanks, everybody. Support for this week's episode comes from The Edge. The Edge is the jewelry industry's leading point-of-sale system, though you've probably already heard about how amazing they are. They're in the business to help independent jewelers succeed in an ever-evolving retail environment where technology plays a major role. Their promise to their clients is to never let them get caught in technological or functional time warp. The Edge develops their software on state-of-the-art technology and adds features and functionality in the best interest of their users. In the words of Edge founder Dick Abbott, our biggest reward is the success of our store owners. To learn more about the Edge point-of-sale system and all the ways that can accelerate your business approach into an omni-channel solution, visit theedgeforjewelers.com. Thanks, back to the show. Okay, and we're back. So, Katie, I want you to get out your wand, conductor's wand, and let's talk about the symphony of digital marketing and how these different tactics that we talked about that you've already deemed work. How do they come together and actually drive traffic to your website and convert sales?
Great question. So in terms of utilizing kind of the three key components that we talked about, right? So organic strategy and focusing on building your website, growing that equity within Google, typically based around making sure your site is optimized, building additional content, right? So that's the organic piece. And then we talk about paid ads, right? So whether it's bidding on ads directly within Google or whether it's, targeting paid ads directly through Facebook and Instagram. And then there's this other component of retargeting too, right? So actually serving ads to customers that have already engaged with you and they're already at a different part in the marketing funnel. They're being brought down from that top level to that secondary, tertiary touch point, using the big words today. So when we talk about how we can use all of these pieces together, let's kind of break that down, right? So you mentioned sometimes people can be a little wary of paid ads, right? So I can't tell you how many times throughout the course of my career that I've heard from clients when I'm trying to discuss which tactic would make sense for them or which combination, mentioning pay-per-click, they're immediately well, but people don't trust those ads. People don't click on that. Well, I kind of beg to disagree. I mean, there's clear statistics that shows that people are more tailored to or more have a higher tendency of engaging with organic content. But there also clearly is an industry for paid ads, and really where those pieces work together is where they're the most successful, right? Because if you can capture multiple pieces of real estate on the first page of Google, whether you're doing it organically and then you're also, you have an ad that shows up, right? So it's a combination of a credibility builder, right? So not only are you seeing Google offer that up, but you're having that additional landscape up at the top that, the user's oh, well, clearly they're relevant for what I'm searching if they're showing multiple times on the first page, right? So utilizing those pieces together is great. And then when you talk about strategy in general, utilizing pay-per-click allows you to get really great insights on keywords that work, keywords that people are engaging with, and you can utilize those keyword reports for AdWords, and you can create content around that for SEO, so that, again, it all comes full circle, right? Utilizing keyword research, ads that are working well, build content that's centered around that, so you can continue to have that market saturation for both of those pieces together, right? So that's a really great option in terms of utilizing those two together. And then on top of that, you can talk about retargeting, right? And paid social. So when someone lands on your site, either through organic or through paid ads, you can, again, cookie their browser. And then when they're back on, on social media, Facebook and Instagram, you can then reserve them that content, right? So those multiple touch points all work together in terms of driving quality traffic, making someone aware of your brand, making your brand seem credible. All of that at the end of the day is going to make a user want to purchase from you.
I think that the quality of your advertisements is, up there. I mean, you can have a brand voice in there too. Make sure that the images that you're using look natural and quality. You don't want to be using terrible layouts or typography in there and have it be very obvious that this isn't, because it speaks to the quality of everything you do, your products. If they see an ad that looks like it was, a 3-cent ad, why would they spend $3,000 on an engagement rating with you if, you're not going to spend that money trying to get them to? But I also think that there are some other things that kind of go along with it too, that are a little bit more, maybe not advanced tactics, but just kind of longer term. And you mentioned lookalikes. So one thing that In the Loupe is trying to do, this is going to be a great plug. Man, this is going to be the epicest plug. We're creating a Facebook page for In the Loupe. And part of the reason why we like that is because it allows us to take a look at what our audience is going to be. And Facebook allows you to see who likes your page. It's not as anonymous as on Instagram or on some of the other platforms, but will allow us to kind of get an idea of, are we getting mostly jewelers? Are we getting mostly regular people? And I think that having that kind of tool for your store, whether that means that you make a Facebook page for your business, which I think most people do, it allows a place for another touch point, another place that will rank in Google, another place that'll show up on Facebook when people are shopping around. They'll also see that. And then again, you can also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can run ads against people who visit that page or like that page. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you can actually do all of those things within separate campaigns, right? So you can go after people that have specifically engaged with your Facebook page, and you can also go after a lookalike audience. So based off of the people that do engage with your brand, you can create an audience of people with very similar or almost exact demographics to that. So you're continuing to engage with the people that are already engaging with your brand and serving them specific ads and specific content, but you can also go after people that are that much more likely to become part of that engaged audience as well. So both of those pieces are really nice, and you can use them together for that consistent engagement and also that reach component of things as well.
About this whole thing is that you really can look and see, is this thing working? And what I like about how we market In the Loupe is that we can really go in and look to see. We try to run LinkedIn ads. And LinkedIn ads, in case you're curious, are extraordinarily expensive and also kind of not that successful. So we stopped doing it. But who's to say if you did that in a non-digital marketing way, for example, a billboard or radio ad, how can you tell how successful that is? You really can't. How many eyeballs have looked at your billboard as they've driven by at 65 miles per hour or 75 if you're reckless? If you're going through, you can't really tell if that is a successful ad. You can't tell if this type of wording is a better ad versus this type of wording. But with digital marketing, you can hone down on, A/B testing. Is it better to say, book an appointment for your engagement ring now, or to say, schedule an appointment today? You can find out what's a more compelling call to action. And that is the kind of stuff that you can really nail down on your digital marketing, and why I think I don't really 100% see the value in traditional marketing right now. Maybe I'm just very millennial of me to say, but I don't think that the quality of the impressions is there. Am I wrong on that, Katie? Am I just a terrible Zoomer?
Yeah. I mean, I love that you're Zoomer. I love that you're calling out A/B split testing. I think I can't stress enough how important that is. And you're right in that digital marketing has that edge over traditional marketing where you can directly see results, especially with paid campaigns. You can see that almost immediately. And SEO over time, obviously, you can start to see that growth over a period of time, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, whatever the case is. But when we talk about traditional marketing, I'm going to push back a little bit on what you said in that it depends on the market. Right. So when we look at different clients that are in different areas, right? So more rural, more suburban versus more metropolitan, depending on, the size of the city and the market, and also the makeups and the demographics, right? Like there's still clients that I work with that get a really great response from direct mailers. I know that maybe seems a little outdated, but it depends on the demographic, again, of the user. Now, I don't necessarily think that newspaper ads are super successful anymore, but again, in some cases that does work. Billboards are extremely expensive, but you're right, not a lot of people are going outdoors right now. So I think, having a conversation with a lot of my clients in marketing for 2021, they've reeled back that traditional marketing and they're pumping it into digital marketing. So I think we're seeing that shift based off of what we're dealing with currently, as a society. But, when things are kind of opening back up and we're seeing things kind of get back to that equilibrium, traditional will still have a piece to play in that depending on the market. But I agree that obviously digital is really where to go in terms of really seeing your return on investment, because you can actively see the results at your fingertips, like you said, versus a billboard. It's a little bit more difficult to kind of measure.
Feel your pushback. Let me give you one more. And I'm arguing with the digital marketing manager at Punchmark. So take my opinion with a very big rock of salt. What I will say is this. Think about who are the people that actually listen to standard radio or who read the newspaper. A lot of millennials and, that age group. So whatever term that is, 30 to 20 right now. Those people probably aren't the ones that are making up the majority share of people that are using those traditional avenues for marketing. So as a result, the people who you're going to be getting are those people that are older than that. So 50 and older. And a lot of our listeners are probably in that group. So they might have a slightly different opinion on, is it effective? But what I also say is those people, that fall in the 20 to 30, they're going to get older eventually, slowly. And as they get older, I think that return on investment through those digital marketing campaigns are going to stick with them a little bit longer. And as if you're the local jeweler, if you are running ads to that group that are in your town, as they get older, the impressions, they actually add up, as opposed to those ones that are ran against the older groups. They might be past the marketing period. Whereas these 20 to 30-year-olds, they're going to eventually have the money and the coin to start spending at your store. That's why I think that even if the impressions are great through radio and newspaper and billboards and stuff like that, I also think about the quality of the actual audience that are going to be consuming it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't disagree with what you said. If anything, I should be the advocate for digital marketing myself. But to be fair, I also deal directly with clients and we talk about their marketing mix and those different components, right? So even though I, of course, am an advocate for digital marketing because I feel like it's the most successful tool that our clients have or that any business owner has at their fingertips, you also have to kind of decipher and break down in terms of their buyer personas and really where they're looking to push, right? So you're absolutely correct in the terms of those bridal demographics. You 100% should be prioritizing those digital components, but then you do have different clients depending on the market, depending on there are different buyer personas that have self-purchasers, right? So women that are maybe a little bit older and are looking for larger custom pieces, I still think you should do some digital marketing in regards to that. But just kind of saying that there, for some of those more traditional pieces, there might be a certain component of that works really well for different demographics in a long run. But I think you really have to determine where you want to prioritize. A lot of our clients are focusing on bridal, and really that's where the demographic is. It's online, it's on social, it's in Google. You need to make sure that you can be found, for someone to be able to walk through your door.
Two things out of this. So the first one, we just talked about radio. And meanwhile, we're recording a podcast. I would love there to be a jewelers podcast made by jewelers for jewelers. And maybe even if one of the trade shows like IJO, RJO, Centurion, all those people wanted to make one that was literally just kind of in the Loupe, except by jewelers, talking to other jewelers, reach out to us. I will literally walk you through how to make one. And the other thing is give our Facebook page a like. And even if you don't actually want to listen to anything, the remarketing will be an example to you for how we actually put these things into effect. So if you give us this like, sounds very self-pluggy, but it's actually for your education, so trust us. If you give us a like, you'll probably get retargeted later on when we release episodes, and you'll see how we take that information and we actually run ads against it. And you can do that too with your store, with jewelry, or whatever your business is. And I really think that the capability is at your fingertips. It really, really is. Now more than ever, I think.
For sure.
Katie, we just covered lots of information right there. And I'm very pleased with what we went through. We kind of showed our entire hand when it came to digital marketing. Is that scary? Is that taboo? I don't know. I think it's fine.
No, I don't think so, because it's always consistently changing, right? So when we talk about SEO, like Google has a new algorithm update that's rolling out literally next month. There's always consistent changing tools and different components. So I think it's important to break it down so that people can actually use it, all of these different tools for their own business. But I think it's also important to consider that this is something that's always changing. So having these educational resources, like in the Loupe, like other podcasts, is so important to keep a pulse on the changes and the shifts in the industry at the end of the day. So I think that's number one. And then number two, when we're talking about digital marketing as a whole, it takes a little bit of knowledge and experience to understand how SEO can support pay-per-click, which can support Google Ads, and how they all work together to drive a strategy. And I hope that we covered enough for people to start learning, but it's going to take that continuing education, getting your fingers, dipping your toes into the water and really kind of getting familiar with it and kind of going from there. I hope that we inspire people to make that leap. And if they need additional support, obviously there's experts like ourselves and other people that you can go to for support as well.
Dip your fingers and toes in the water and give it a look.
Fingers and toes.
Fingers and toes, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. More great episodes on digital marketing. If you feel like that we're sleeping on traditional marketing, let us know. I don't know. Let us know on our Facebook page, In the Loupe podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. All those great things on the various podcast networks. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Punchmark and the Symphony Group, for making this all happen. And thank you to our sponsor, The Edge, for sponsoring this week's episode. We'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, and remember to subscribe. It really helps us grow. Thank you so much. See you next week.